Hi, Denise.
Morning.
Yeah, I was just saying to everybody, I was just welcoming everybody, and I'll be leading the session this morning. I'm going to be starting with the meditation, today's lesson, and then there's going to be a short meditation, and it'll be open for sharing after that.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you.
Holding the space, basically. Yeah. Jenny and Barret will come in after. So it's lesson 358. No call to God can be unheard nor left unanswered. And of this I can be sure. His answer is the one I really want. You who remember what I really am alone, remember what I really want. You speak for God, and so you speak for me. And what you give me comes from God himself. Your voice, my Father, then is mine as well. And all I want is what you offer me. In just the form you choose that it be mine. Let me remember all I do not know, and let my voice be still, remembering. But let me not forget your love and care, keeping your promise to your Son in my awareness always. Let me not forget myself is nothing, but myself, capital S, is all. So how's everybody doing this morning? Yeah, it's open for sharing now if someone wants to raise up something.
Good morning, everyone. What I want to express this morning is there seems to be pain in my neck and in my ears and in my mouth. But just by sharing it, expressing that I don't have to sit with this seeming pain alone. The ego would have me sit in silence and suffer. But I'm here to share. It's very hard for me at this moment to feel that this pain is only in my mind. The pain is not real. It feels very far, but there's still a willingness that it really is only in my mind. Happily, fortunately, blessed, it's only in my mind. And I do not have to be afraid to share or afraid of the pain. What's going to happen, or what can happen. Why did I choose this pain? Decide for. guilt. That's what's coming up. And fear of communication. And the belief, and also to express the belief in sickness, that sickness is real. And that means the body is real. And then I am unreal. Then those seeming beliefs are real, which cannot be. Thank you for letting me express and share.
Thank you, Francois, for raising up all in thoughts. Does anyone else want to put something on the altar?
Hi, everybody. I suppose I was just thinking, I was feeling like this connection to people in this group, you know, and like I feel grateful for that, you know, because like I didn't think I was going to make any of these sessions. My ego, it was kind of like all or nothing, you know. It was like, well, you're either going to be on the retreat or you're not, you know. And I just had it that, well, I won't be able to because I'm at home, I'm with my family and all that, you know. And then it's like this spirit is kind of gently showing me like that it doesn't have to be, it's not all black and white, you know. And I'm not sacrificing anything like by being here, you know. You know, and I thought I would be. And yeah, like I'm coming back over on the 30th, like to Spain. And like for some reason I haven't told my dad yet. And like I told my brother yesterday, I collected my brother from the airport, and like he's fine. It's not, it's this old stuff of like, you know, people pleasing, and like I'm a 44-year-old woman. I feel like I still need my dad's permission to do what I want to do, you know. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of leave that there today because I just want to kind of wash away a lot of that stuff that doesn't really work for me anymore, you know. The fear to kind of, I suppose, live the life that I want to live, you know. I'm still figuring that out, like, you know. Like this Christmas has been so different so far because I've had a chance to really look at the traditions and the roles I play and the things I do because it's Christmas and this has to be done and that has to be done. Yeah, so I just wanted to leave that on the altar, just about I don't know, there's something big for me around who am I, you know, who am I, and what's the purpose of my life. You know, it's actually big, it's kind of a deep one, like, you know. But I'm just trying to be gentle with myself and just notice everything, because the ego is really trying to scare me, like, just it's like one or the other, you know, it's all or nothing, it's the same thing. It's like just trying to figure out, like, what would it be like to live in community without ever having actually done it, you know. So it's, anyway, I just wanted to leave the fear there that's there around moving towards more of that, you know. Yeah, that's it really. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise.
Thanks.
Man.
Yeah, hello everyone. Yeah, I'm at work, and something that Denise just said then, you like about all or nothing. I'm so much an all or nothing. I have some belief around that, and I actually feel guilty even though I'm not actually doing anything at work at the moment. So I'm in doing kind of mode, and there's some guilt coming up around that. I shouldn't be here. I should be doing the ironing or something. I don't know. So I don't feel very present. That's what I want to lay on the altar. You know, the desire to be somewhere else or doing something, so I can feel worthy. So yeah, just want to lay that down. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Okay, so Jenny and Barret have just come in. Yeah, I see you want to share, Laurie. We're just going to do a little switch around here.
Okay.
And I'll be handing it over to Jenny and Barret. Yeah.
All right. Cheers, Matthew.
Sweet to see everyone. I'm glad you can make it, Anne. I'm glad everyone can make it.
Hi, everyone. Oh, God. I feel like I just feel scared to share. I can see there's like some monitoring going on. Like, how do I say it without? Yeah, it's just. I need to leave early today as well, so I need to leave about 9:15. Yeah, I just felt like Francois' share last night was so perfectly timed. Like it was an opportunity for me to see the pull between the split mind feeling guilty. There's guilt now. Because 1 minute I could see like I was just like, he was such a picture of innocence and like childlike enthusiasm for the course, and then I'm into the ego mind with the judgments, like it's taken too long. Just, yeah, all judgments, my own. I could see it was all my own fear. Not in the moment, but later. There were certain things that got me hooked, like the speaker. You know, I really sat with it and thinking like, no, I want to be right. I want to be right that this speaker is annoying. It's annoying. And then sitting and thinking, well, okay, if you want to be right, then be miserable. It's like I'm having a conversation in my head. And then I'm like, well, I don't want to be miserable, so I'm going to have to turn to Holy Spirit. And then sometimes it's easier and sometimes it really feels impossible. But then yeah, last night I recognised it's all my own fears around taking up too much time, boring people. That feels like a big one, you know. Yeah, like people couldn't possibly listen to me for that long. The ego's coming in now to try and tell me stories.
Yeah, the ego is the one that complains. Always. Even that the journey would take long, it's only from the ego's viewpoint.
Yeah, I could see the total freedom. Like I could see in him, he's the only one here, and he's just free to express it all. And it felt like fear of the joy, like I'm not free to express all that joy and all that love. And so I was like in between the two. And even with wanting to share it this morning, the thought was like, you're going to have a really bad day. Francois even said the fear of communication. So I thought, I've got to get it off my chest, because even that's an ego interpretation. I'll have a really bad day if I don't get this out.
And the comparison.
Yeah.
Comparison that there is a Laurie and there is a Francois.
Yeah.
And there is a difference.
Yeah, just even the positive judgments, you know, what he mentioned, like Pinocchio. And maybe next year I'll be a real boy, and just my heart just lit up. But then the ego wants to take that as well and say, well, you can't even, you're not even here to judge positively, you know. I get myself all confused with probably, the thinking instead of the feeling. Yeah, and I'm already feeling I'm meeting my cousin today. My cousin and her kids and Alba's lot are going for a walk. Like, they're coming to us because we're like out in the country, so. But I feel like I've arranged it for Joe, really, because he's got his little twin cousins who he's dead close to, so it does feel like there's a bit of obligation. And then I feel bad because she's, out of all my cousins, she's like my sister. We grew up together. Just feel bad, like I should want to go. Part of me does want to go. I can see I want an outcome. I want it to turn, I want it to be, I don't know, joyful, I guess.
That's okay.
Yeah, and I don't want to be disappointed if it's not. I'm already trying to plan how it's going to be before.
Well, it's joyful when you're in communion with the Holy Spirit. It's not circumstance dependent. So I think it's already going to be joyful because that's your intention.
Yeah, I think I'm judging myself like, why, what has motivated me to say yes to this when we're going at 10 o'clock now? So just, yeah, be with the Holy Spirit. And it's kind of the one thing that I've done. I have distanced myself and not, you know, I've declined invitations and stuff, but this is the one thing. There's probably some guilt around. Yeah.
Hmm. I think you made great choices and great decisions, you know, in terms of holding on or staying with the Holy Spirit, staying with what feels supportive to your mind. So if you decline some invitations and you felt prompted to say yes to some, that's beautiful. And there is no reason to feel guilty for the ones you said no to. This is how the journey goes, you know, and the ego wants you to feel guilty about something always. That's its job, but we want to put it out of a job. Use the day, you know, use the day for what you're worthy of. Love and peace, and to extend that. Joining.
Yeah, I feel better. It's like I'm getting it out.
It's precious. This moment is precious, and to keep remembering that when you're out on the walk, when you're with your cousin, when you're with anyone, remember this precious moment opening.
Yeah, there's probably already some guilt because she sent me a message saying, like, she was just talking about things, and then she said, "Oh, I feel like my head's going to explode." And I had a load of judgments around that as well. How she's still doing this busy Christmas and running around, and I didn't respond to it because it felt like people pleasing, or like, what's wrong? You know, this is all by text message.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of I'm being harsh with myself, really. I'm telling myself, like, don't slip back into doing all of that stuff.
Yeah. And it's just to observe it and overlook it. So you're some steps ahead. You've laid aside that busyness. So then you're in a good place. You can extend the peace that comes from not being caught up in the external.
Yeah. That's my prayer.
Yeah. Yeah, we all need opportunities to practice that. And that's what you are giving yourself today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good time. Did you want to share, Anne?
Only that I do have to nip out of the meeting, and I'm feeling guilty about that because of my function here. So
Yeah.
But yeah, just hear what you say, and it's like just stay as present as I can without that sense of feeling split. I want to be here, but I've got to go and do this kind of thing, and still here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, stay linked. You're still with us, even if you have to go. Yeah. Bring the miracle with you, even if it's something you have done hundreds of times. maybe you just practice it as a new experience, new moment.
You just reminded me, because it went out of my head, but I do try to practice, going through the door and saying, oh, you're only to be helpful, etc. It's like, yeah, it's a good practice.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And I do just feel to share while everyone's here that the prompt has come in for us to share a movie this afternoon at 3 p.m. So yeah, just let you know that that's coming up for our next session. So
Yeah. And maybe it's tonight to have some open mic, maybe with poetry, or someone want to share a song, or yeah. See if it's tonight or tomorrow morning. We can, and you can be open to it if you feel inspiration in your heart to extend some gifts, share something. Beautiful. Well, we'll see you later, Anne, if you can make it back. The Spirit is so welcoming. The Holy Spirit says, I'm glad you made it. I'm glad you made it. I'm glad you made it here to this joining. I'm glad you made it this far on your path. Yeah, why don't we read? I opened up to Wholeness and Spirit. It's chapter 1, part 4 in the course. And it addresses this body, the belief in the body and how it can be used. The miracle is much like the body in that both are learning aids for facilitating a state in which they become unnecessary. When spirit's original state of direct communication is reached, neither the body nor the miracle serves any purpose. While you believe you are in a body, however, you can choose between loveless and miraculous channels of expression. You can make an empty shell, but you cannot express nothing at all. You can wait, delay, paralyze yourself, or reduce your creativity almost to nothing, but you cannot abolish it. You can destroy your medium of communication, but not your potential. You did not create yourself. The basic decision of the miracle-minded is not to wait on time any longer than is necessary. Time can waste as well as be wasted. The miracle worker, therefore, accepts the time control factor gladly. He recognizes that every collapse of time brings everyone closer to the ultimate release from time, in which the Son and the Father are one. Equality does not imply equality now. When everyone recognizes that he has everything, individual contributions to the sonship will no longer be necessary. So he's like clearly talking about saving time here, and that we have this choice. We can abolish the creative ability, or we can seem to almost abolish it. We cannot abolish it completely. So it's a matter of using our power, the power of the mind, our willingness to invite the state of miracle-mindedness. That's the power that we have to direct our minds in the right way, in the helpful way. And that is very easy in a way. It's a very small tweak in the mind. It's just opening to a willingness. There is no effort. And I like this. Ultimately, every member of the family of God must return. Every member of the family of God must return. We are members of a family of God. We're not really members of an earthly family. The miracle calls him to return because it blesses and honors him, even though he may be absent in spirit. God is not mocked. It's not a warning, but a reassurance. God would be mocked if any of his creations lacked holiness. The creation is whole, and the mark of wholeness is holiness. Miracles are affirmations of sonship, which is a state of completion and abundance. It's beautiful. God is not mocked. God would be mocked if his sons were not holy. Whatever is true is eternal and cannot change or be changed. Spirit is therefore unalterable because it is already perfect, but the mind can elect what it chooses to serve. The only limit put on its choice is that it cannot serve two masters. If it elects to do so, the mind can become the medium by which spirit creates along the line of its own creation. If it does not freely elect to do so, it retains its creative potential, but places itself under tyrannous rather than authoritative control. So it talks about this choice that we have and that we are making, and that's the whole purpose for being on the spiritual path. There is a recognition of the true choice, of the right choice. And this tyrannous control, it doesn't sound good. You don't want to put your mind under tyrannous control, like the ego. But authoritative control with capital A, that's to give your mind over to spirit. To change your mind means to place it at the disposal of a true authority. That is so beautiful. And this, yeah, I think the real meaning of, or the purpose of the story of Pinocchio is that he wanted to try to be a real boy, but that wasn't really it. He needed to come back on the strings to be led. We want to be on the strings, like we want to be under the authority of the spirit, because there are only two choices. We don't have any other, we can believe we're in control in a personal way, but that's really to be under the ego's control. So we want to give our minds back to be under spirit's control. Control is not the proper word for it, because it's freedom. but we need the mind training that it takes to experience that. The listening, the following, the choosing of the right mind. The miracle is a sign that the mind has chosen to be led by me in Christ's service. The abundance of Christ is the natural result of choosing to follow him. All shallow roots must be uprooted because they are not deep enough to sustain you. The illusion that shallow roots can be deepened and thus made to hold is one of the distortions on which the reverse of the golden rule rests. As these false underpinnings are given up, the equilibrium is temporarily experienced as unstable. However, nothing is less stable than an upside-down orientation, nor can anything that holds it upside down be conducive to increased stability. So he's describing that the time when you change your mind, it can feel unstable when you change the identity, when you realize that you need to choose the true identity. It can be disillusionment. But he's saying that is nothing is worse than an upside down orientation, than following the ego. That is even worse. So this phase of being in this sort of unstable experience, a little bit disillusionment, it's a good phase to go through. Just to keep allowing, keep praying, keep being willing, offer your heart, offer your being.
Yeah, I keep getting an image of a boat that's turned upside down, right? And we're used to it being upside down, but it's not how a boat should be. And we're like, oh, this is fine, you know. But in order to right the boat, you know, tip the boat back over, it's unstable, it's unsettling. But it's going to get us to a much better place.
Yeah. And imagine how much it swings back and forth when it is turned up first. It does this. Very wobbly, yeah. But imagine when it stabilizes and it can put up the sails and go in full force and let the wind take it. It can go very, very fast. Yeah, I also opened up the course this morning to the Song of Prayer. And there is part of it where he talks about death and how once we have faced the fear of death, then even the death of the seeming body is very, very, very peaceful. It's just a transition. But first we face this fear of death in whatever form it is appearing in our minds, whatever fear. Death is fear. So anything that is still not looked at, that is death. Like there is maybe a pocket of unfaced fear in the mind that you can start to take a look at. Fear is doubt, fear is depression, fear is death is the ego. Yeah, I was reading the section about false versus true healing there. That's why he talks about death. Death, according to the world, is cruel. In its frightened eyes, it takes the form of punishment for sin. Could it be a blessing then? Could it be welcome when it must be feared? He's saying, but death is a reward and not a punishment. But such a viewpoint must be fostered by the healing that the world cannot conceive. There is no partial healing. What shifts illusions has done nothing. What is false cannot be partly true. If you are healed, your healing is complete. Forgiveness is the only gift you give and would receive. This addressing this, the false healing is just healing of the body, and it's never complete. It shifts illusions, but it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't really heal. So true healing is the healing of the mind, the change of perception. I think the reason why the journey seems long, like Laurie was bringing up this, it seems you were judging or comparing the time it takes. But I think that because the conditioning is very deep and there are so many beliefs to be transformed, to be let go. And when you start to study the mind, watch the mind really closely, you can see how many times the body-related thoughts come in as a solution. I must fix this, then I will feel better. I must change this with myself, then I will feel better. It's like, no, wait a minute. These are just body-related beliefs to be released. And it doesn't matter if it takes time, because every time you do that shift, you do become happy. And so be it if you slip back again. That's how it seems to go. But then you have the opportunity again to change and shift again. Remember your innocence and let go again on whatever hook. It gets very simple and easy in a way when you start to see that's all the journey is about. And for this, like when you offer your mind, your willingness to spirit, there will be means. You will perceive or you will receive means that will support the steps as well. Jesus says that your real needs as well as your unreal ones will be met. The unreal ones are the body's needs, the body's seeming needs, and the real ones is the need for realization of who you are. But he will take care of the unreal needs as well. That's very good to know. It makes it very safe to take the steps. Saying as long as they don't delay you, they will be given you. As long as you don't use them on behalf of lingering in time.
Jenny, could I ask something, Denise? I just like about death. I think I'm like confused about like why do bodies die? You know, it's like I know we're trying not to waste time, like as in we want to awaken. But like what happens if people like die before they, I don't know.
Before they're realize the truth. Mm. Well, it is all in your mind. Everyone that you can think of that you feel this way about. It's your forgiveness. Forgiveness will release them, actually.
Yeah. I just get confused. I just wonder, is it like if we believe in death, then do people choose to die like at a certain time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. But let me read to you this beautiful. He talks about false versus true healing. This answer said, false healing merely makes a poor exchange of one illusion for a nicer one, a dream of sickness for a dream of health. This can occur at lower forms of prayer, combining with forgiveness kindly meant, but not completely understood as yet. Only false healing can give way to fear, so sickness will be free to strike again. False healing can indeed remove a form of pain and sickness, but the cause remains and will not lack effects. The cause is still the wish to die and overcome the Christ. And with this wish is death a certainty, for prayer is answered. Yet there is a kind of seeming death that has a different source. It does not come because of hurtful thoughts and raging anger at the universe. It merely signifies the end has come for usefulness of body functioning. And so it is discarded as a choice, as one lays by a garment now outworn. So this is very peaceful. Like that type of death. Signifies the end has come for usefulness of body functioning. It's like a vehicle that has been used up, like a car that you take to the junkyard. This is what death should be, a quiet choice made joyfully and with a sense of peace, because the body has been kindly used to help the Son of God along the way he goes to God. We thank the body then for all the service it has given us. But we are thankful too, the need is done to walk the world of limits and to reach the Christ in hidden forms and clearly seen at most in lovely flashes. Now we can behold him without blinders in the light that we have learned to look upon again. That's very peaceful. Laying inside of the body in that way. We call it death, but it is liberty. It does not come in forms that seem to be thrust down in pain upon unwilling flesh, but is a gentle welcome to release. If there has been true healing, this can be the form in which death comes when it is time to rest a while from labor gladly done and gladly ended. Now we go in peace to freer air and gentler climate, where it is not hard to see the gifts we gave or saved for us. For Christ is clearer now, his vision more sustained in us, his voice, the word of God, more certainly our own. So death of the body is not death of consciousness or of experience. This gentle passage to a higher prayer, a kind forgiveness of the ways of earth, can only be received with thankfulness. Yet first, true healing must have come to bless the mind with loving pardon for the sins it dreamed about and laid upon the world. Now are its dreams dispelled in quiet rest. Now its forgiveness comes to heal the world, and it is ready to depart in peace. The journey over and the lesson learned. This is not death according to the world, for death is cruel in its frightened eyes and takes the form of punishment for sin. How could it be a blessing then? How could it be welcome when it must be feared? When healing has occurred in such a view of what is merely opening the gate to higher prayer and kindly justice done, that is a reward and not a punishment. But such a viewpoint must be fostered by the healing that the world cannot conceive. There is no partial healing, but what shifts illusions has done nothing. What is false cannot be partly true. If you're healed, your healing is complete. Forgiveness is the only gift you give and would receive. False healing rests upon the body's cure, leaving the cause of illness still unchanged, ready to strike again until it brings a cruel death in seeming victory. It can be held at bay a little while. There can be brief respite as it waits to take its vengeance on the Son of God. Yet, it cannot be overcome until all faith in it has been laid by and placed upon God's substitute for evil dreams, a world in which there is no veil of sin to keep it dark and comfortless. At last, the gate of heaven opens and God's Son is free to enter in the home that stands ready to welcome him and was prepared before time was, and still but waits for him. I think this is really clarifying, Denise. It seems to be that everyone has their own lessons to go through. So even if someone seems to die before they have realized who they are, that's because that's where the mind is at. And this usually is the way it goes, like sickness seems to strike and there is pain and it ends in a fearful death of the body. But even though, he's saying many people, even then on the deathbed, change their minds, so you don't really know that, even if it looks like someone wasn't on this path or realized, they still might have chosen the truth on the deathbed. And if not, they still can learn the lesson. It's not like the old Christian belief that they will be stuck in hell or something. That is not true. The mind is alive and the mind can and will change. But the highest way to see it is that it is your mind that is healing, and that is, you have the power to forgive all perception. And that's the way Jesus did. He said, when I awoke, you were with me. This experience of oneness.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for asking. I think, sickness and death are good opportunities. Everyone has the call for God. And if there is sickness, often that is guilt there.
Yeah. Yeah, I just sometimes just wondered, it's like, if the mind wasn't fully healed before they died, like, do they come back? Like, I just had all these questions about death lately, like, it's just...
Yeah. Well, I think many people believe in reincarnation, and I think that is an okay viewpoint. So yeah, you can see it that way. They come back to finish their lessons.
Yeah. But I suppose when I'm healing my mind, I'm doing it for everybody, like past and present, and
Yeah. And to come. The ones yet unborn. Give them all. Yeah.
yeah.
And it's very powerful. It's extremely powerful to choose this path. That's why you don't do it for yourself alone, or for one person. It's mind healing, and it's for the whole. It's amazingly powerful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you here soon.
Me too.
Matthew's companion. Thank you. And
yeah, I was just writing because I was saying that I have to leave. So I'll just read what I've written. I have to leave. Thank you, Denise, for raising the death question. It came through my mind last night, so feel really joined in healing these thoughts, and just love to all, and I really hope to join you for the movie later.
Beautiful.
awesome. Thank you, Anne.
Yeah, it feels like such a gift to come to see that there really is no death. It's like a dark splinter that's gotten lodged in the mind. And our healing is just pulling it out.
The way to pull it out can be to check in. What form of death do I believe in right now? We can even translate it into what form of doubt or unworthiness do I believe in right now? Okay, Denise.
Hello. Hello. And hello, everybody.
I mean D, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you so far for the session today. And I just wanted to touch on something before we end the session, because you said we'll have a lovely film at 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. It keeps coming back to my mind. It's about my children, and I'd mentioned the other day that they're very far away. My son and family in Australia, and my daughter in Spain with her children. And I realize it's an attachment that I've built up that creates the so-called emotional pain in my heart when I think about them, when I think they're not here in the physical body with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so the statement that comes up into my mind just a moment ago as I was thinking about it, it would be something like, to see my brothers as a whole and complete. So I realize it's a belief I have, and a belief I bought into this lifetime. So I'm just wondering, before the session ends, is there just a few more words you could help me to just, it's like, I would love to have, and I'm not sure if it would be as simple as to see my brother as sinless. I'm not sure. It's like I'm asking for a transformation in this one thing for myself, because I just seem to create this pain in my heart to think that they're separate from me, and they're not, and I'm not with them. They're not with me. I can't hug them. It's all that.
Yeah, that sounds like torture.
Yes.
To have that belief that you are apart from them.
Yes.
And that you would love to hug them, but you can't. They are so far away.
Yes.
Distant. Yeah, so sometimes the ego makes up its favorite separation ways. So this is like a subject that is recurring for you. Maybe many times a day you come back to this, oh no, I am so separate from my children.
Yes.
And there is a big problem, and I wish I was together with them. That thought is a way that the ego is using for you to experience separation.
Yes.
And so it is only happening in your consciousness.
Yes.
So you say, maybe it is just to see them sinless. And that is not little. That is, yeah, that's it, and to see yourself sinless. And to see what ways the ego has you hooked into this separation, this pain.
Yes.
And question it. Like the key for you is to question it. Maybe these conclusions aren't true. That this pain that I conclude is because I have a geographical distance. Maybe the pain is not because of that, even. You see, that is just a thought, but the pain is this belief, belief in death and separation that is underneath.
Yeah.
That is sort of making up the scenarios.
Yes.
So once you face it, you have no idea what miraculous shifts will happen, you know, once you face this belief in pain and death, and you may need to come back to it over and over again as the thoughts appear in your mind. Maybe as soon as you wake up in the morning, maybe these are the painful thoughts that the ego throws in. I'm here alone, something is terribly wrong, my children are disowning me, or whatever the belief is to say, okay, these are just my thought patterns. These are just beliefs that occur in this seeming separate mind only. It's not a statement of reality. It's not true. It's not actually happening. So I feel to take your hand and hold your hand and stay with you. And every morning and every time you have these worrisome thoughts, remember we hold hands. You can imagine my hand or anyone's that you trust, or Jesus' hand. Like, no, we're going to see through this. And then even be gentle and see what you want, what your calling is, and ask for guidance. Because Jesus and the Holy Spirit wants to support you fully, and it's very practical. So that could be a prompt that is the answer to these recurring worrisome thoughts. And try to be open to the prompt and then follow it and try it out.
Thank you.
Because healing is inevitable.
Thank
It's sure. Yeah. Thank you, Dee. Thank you. We're together in this. Mm. Before we end the session, and yeah, just to mention about that, that is what hell is. These recurring, it's the tyranny that I read about. It's a tyrant. Ego is a tyrant in the mind that is throwing in these, usually the same thing, because it has found out what is your weak point, and it's going to make sure you have hell. It's going to, so when you slip into those thoughts, it's, you know, there is no other hell than that darkness, you know. So it's just to remember that, I fell into the pit again. Let me pray for a miracle. Let me be shown the way out. There's no hell waiting after death or anything. This is it, you know, these dark thoughts. And that's what we're here to transcend, transform, and heal perception. It's possible. It's inevitable. Oh, I love it because it's the detective. Put on the detective hat and
Yes.
off you go. To detect those places in the mind where you happen to slip. And it's glorious. We do it together. It's very safe.
It's elementary, dear Watson.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel what's been brought up today, what you brought up, it's good. It's these patterns in consciousness is the pathway, is to work through, to see through the way the guilt hooks on to certain things. It's a theme. There are certain themes in the mind. Everyone seems to have with different themes. But these are the things to become aware of, where the ego wants to hook onto something. And it's usually felt like it's real, it's very serious. And it's usually also felt like it's very hard to change it, like it's out of your hands or something. But that's the trick, to start to see it as it is, as in your consciousness, as part of your healing path. That's all it is, that's all anything is. There's nobody out there, however real it may seem. And when we realize that, you can extend joy and love, and you're going to be welcome everywhere by everyone, because it's a natural extending happening. It's this sharing of joy and love. And we shouldn't get hooked on that we want to share it with certain ones. We need to allow it to flow with whomever is in front of us. So have a very nice Christmas Eve day.
Thank you.
Good.
Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye.